All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Beauties and gents, we are back. The Rise of the Kings podcast. This is episode 4. I've got some really special guests, one that you haven't met yet. For those who don't know, Rise of the Kings, we are a communal development and support group, typically for Black men and other men of color, but obviously we're very inclusive of women as well as other races as well. I've got a very special guest online. This man is a New Orleans powerhouse that I've had the pleasure of being friends with and collaborating with for at least 8 years now. Mr. Tillman, please introduce yourself.
Hey, man, this is your boy Tillman Star. Reluctantly now to say Dr. Lightskin, but like I said, I haven't used that in such a long time. But Theard Tillman, actually, Tillman Star as well. I've done everything between comedy. I've written comedy skits for various groups, from music to also being a relationship coach and a life coach as well. And man, I've done so much more, but that's pretty much the gist of it, man. And now reside in Dallas, Texas. But I'm coming out there often to New Orleans. I'm not going to stop coming out there to help. I just had to come out here for a minute just to try to get some things together, man. So I'm really happy and very excited for this show. After everything that you told me and how this show came about, I think it's a beautiful thing for brothers. Period. Brothers of all colors and creeds, but definitely for us, because we don't have anywhere else to go to talk about a lot of these things, and at least into a safe place anyway. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy to have you. We got our brother TJ. He'll be coming in a little bit. What I explained to Tilmac is, what we've really been doing with the Rise of the Kings movement is like coming up with this space of really strong brothers who have all kind of backgrounds, whether it's education, whether they're artists, comedians of all kinds. Mm-hmm. And we're really talking about these deep topics that Black men don't really get to talk about often. And mm-hmm. The main goal and the main hope is to be able to provide some sort of understanding or give some tools and some knowledge so that other brothers can be able to get on this path that we're on, right? Because all mm-hmm. of us in this group, we are a group of people who have gone through our own trials and tribulations.
Right.
But we're also, we also have learned the tools and the tricks of the trade along the way. And we want to pass that knowledge on because we mm-hmm. don't congregate like that enough.
Right. I totally agree, man. I have this conversation, Tony, I've traveled all over the world. I definitely did a lot of traveling last year, but due to this pandemic, I had to kind of chill out for a bit. But that's definitely the case, man. No matter where I go, it seems like it's the same thing. We all fighting the same narrative. So I think it's time to really talk and really start getting things in perspective on things we need to do, because you're absolutely right about that.
And what's so cool too is ever since I've known you, Tilmac, like you've always been on this thing of like, your art and your work has never been self-serving. Like you've always been like, it's almost like you like always trying to pour into the well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I've always respected that about you, because you've always reached out. You've always opened your platforms to other people. You've collaborated with other brilliant people, but it was always to pour into the community and make the community a better place.
Yeah, I always found it very important, especially the way I grew up. A lot of people feel like, for some reason, I guess I have some theories about it, but people feel like I went to like a private school. And they feel like I went to like in New Orleans. For people that's from New Orleans, they know, they feel like I went to like Brother Martin or something like that. And I'm just like, nah, I went to Reed in the East. And people are like, what? And I went through so many things. And I just remember there were times where I felt like at the fork of the road, wherever I was at a fork of the road, I never had anybody to say, okay, you need to go left. Based upon who you are, what you do, you need to go left. You shouldn't go right. You have to go left. And I thought that was a really big deal because of the fact that I wanted to be the same way for other people. You know what I'm saying? Like I wanted to be something different. I wanted to be the person to say, hey, you don't have to have a 50-50 chance of this working, because I know what's going to work and what's not going to work. Or I want to at least help you make it work. So go left, because if you go right, it's going to take too long, or you're not going to learn. It's going to be a life lesson instead of you just succeeding. And I just always wanted to pour into people in that way. He was saying how ever since he's known me, like I've always been the one pretty much for the most part, to help, you know. And growing up the way I grew up, man, I never really had to help like I felt like I needed it or I wanted it, you know. So what I would do is I would always try to make myself available to anybody that wanted help, because I never wanted anyone to feel stranded like I did. Always had a way of just feeling stranded, and I felt like that wasn't good at all. And if I can just help someone be better, even if it's better than me, I'm never really worried about if somebody was gonna, you know, kind of go more forward than me or be better than me, even if it was in the same realm. You know, as long as you're succeeding, because if you win, we all win at the end of the day. And just try to keep my ego out of it and try not to be as selfish as I could be, I guess. You know?
Well, that's something we also don't see a lot in our community, right? We have a lot of, I mean, we could use the crabs in a bucket term, but I also think it's just deeper than that, because I think that we were kind of conditioned to not want to see each other, like win. You know, I think a lot about how we treat success in the Black community like there's 5 positions available and we got to all fight for them 5 positions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
And like,
yeah.
I had his term. I said, like, I won't use the pejorative that I want to use, but I said one dude will sink the ship because he don't want you to be the captain.
Right. And he never been on a boat before.
He never been on a boat.
Never been on a boat. What the hell are you doing?
Here I'm like, man, look, if homie can do this realm and I can jump on and help like add on to the ship,
right?
Whether I gotta be a crewman or I gotta be serving the food, I want to be doing it.
Right. You ever been on a cruise ship before?
I ain't never been on a cruise ship. I'm scared of cruise ships.
All right. So last year, me and my now ex, but me and this young lady, we went on 2 cruises, but the one I'm thinking about is we went on a tour through South America, and it was a 22-day cruise. It was really supposed to be a 30-day, but we left early so we can be home for Christmas. And if you talk to the crew members, if you talk to the captain, you talk to the people that are entertaining you every night, you know, it's 22 days, 22 days, man, you have people doing all of these different things. Sometimes you'll see someone hosting some type of game show that night, and the next day you see them helping cleaning up something. But for the most part, everybody on this ship, you have over 1,000 people on this ship, and everybody that works there are playing their part. And the minute somebody comes out of line, the whole ship will be in chaos. You don't know what's going to happen. And you don't want to know what's going to happen in the middle of the goddamn ocean. Like, you know, I actually have a paper, now that I'm saying that, I had no idea I was going to talk about that, but I have this paper I found yesterday. It's a certificate from the Norwegian Cruise Line for me crossing the equator. So, like, when are we crossing the equator and then everybody's out of line right now, right? Or no, everybody wants to be captain and never drove a ship. This is their first time on the ship. Or what if I want to try to be captain? You know, it just don't work like that, you know. And just to kind of go by what you're saying, man, it's like, come on, man, like, we got to be better than that. Somebody has to teach you, but on the other side of that, you have to be ready to teach and open your ears at the same time.
Yeah, it's like a whatever it takes type of attitude, and everybody plays a part, and sometimes multiple parts, but the whole, like the whole issue, the whole goal is for this ship to take these customers and make as much money as you can and give them an enjoyable experience, whatever that may take. But I think a lot of
Right.
people will get above themselves and be like, you know what? If I can't be the man, then I don't even want to be a part of it. When it's like, you know what? Maybe sit back and like learn, right? Maybe you
Right.
the person like serving food in the dining hall. Maybe that's your like your way to learn, okay, how do I supervise this? Right? Like
Right.
I used to work in nonprofit.
Mm-hmm.
I was the lowly man, you know, in the ranks of everything. And I hated it. I hated every bit of it. But you know what? I worked that thing for 5 years and I learned everything. And now I'm working for myself. I have an organization that I started, and everybody
Mm-hmm.
that's a part of the organization was like, man, you're so organized. You're so this. And I'm like, you know what? If I had not sat and listened for them 5 years, I wouldn't know shit
Right.
about what I'm doing right now.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
Let me be in year one when I was feeling myself and I'm like, man, I need to be the man. Why ain't I in that position? No, there was some shit I had to learn because there's no way that the person I am today would have been that person had I not sat there and played my part in a position, no matter how much that fucking with my pride.
Right. And that's the main thing. You know, I remember when I first started doing radio, I remember the first time I got into radio because people started hearing about me doing relationship coaching. And I was so well at it, man. I was, extremely well at it. I don't know why I really stopped for a while, but somebody heard about it. They invited me to their radio show. And I did well on the radio show. And then eventually I was offered my own show in 2008. Ironically, it was at Crescent City Radio where my last radio show was. And I just remember the first night, me and my brother at the time, man, we did the show. We were just wilding out. It took one of our friends to call and say, hey, look, man, y'all can't be doing all of that extra stuff on a radio show like that because it's just y'all wilding out and it should be better than that. So it forced me to sit back and listen to other radio shows. And you know, I had to listen to a like Tom Jordan morning show every day. I was listening to Steve Harvey morning show every day, trying to figure out how they format things, how everybody interact with each other in one studio. And it just started really building. So you have to start off somewhere, but man, my ego was way too big to have that show. Thank God I learned to listen really quick and learn so that way I can sustain the show. And I wound up just working in radio for over 10 years. Like I think it was like 13 years, no, 12 years at this point. And I'm about to start my brand new show. I wouldn't be able to start this new show if I didn't try to learn and throw my ego out the window and try to learn what I needed to learn so now I can run my own thing. So I think that's a really great idea, and I like what you're doing and how you had to learn to get there.